Hello lovelies, how are you all today? I hope you're well. This is a bit different, isn't it? You're all at home with me. Well, I just thought, if you can't all come to the podding party, I'll bring the podding party to you. So I've just got another couple of kilos of these beautiful Coco de Paimpol to pod. I think it's from the video you saw the other day, I think it's probably my next to last pick. Oh, that one's had a bit of a tack. And I just thought, you know what, while I'm podding away, we'll have a chat. Because, I love podding and chatting. I have, in the past, I've taken bags of chickpeas to the pub with me to pod whilst chatting with my friends. Those days are gone, those days of sitting in the pub. But, yes, just to say, I'm going to raise a glass to say cheers. I've poured myself a glass of wine, which is highly unusual for me. Hang on a tick, I've got something on my glasses. What is that? Oh, it's a bit of pod juice. Yeah, I've said it before, one of the main things that I miss by being without a wage is just being able to pop along to the pub and hang out with friends. I'll explain this in a sec. So, by the way, it's about 5 o'clock in the afternoon. I know the light is so strong it belies it being 5 o'clock. It's not a 9 o'clock drink, don't worry. Yeah, I often talk about going to the pub to meet my friends and chatting and drinking. And that's not because we're a bunch of crazy alcoholics. It's just that, I think most of us in the UK, or a lot of us in the UK, that's the pub. It's kind of like the village hall / church in the evening. It's just the place where people congregate to relax, to talk, to chew over the fat, to solve all the problems of the day. So it's not about going to the pub and getting right royally drunk, not at all. It's about just having somewhere that's a nice meeting place to spend time with friends. So, sorry, I'm going to be burping now. I rarely drink wine, unless it's champagne, of course, for birthdays and Christmas. So yeah, it doesn't happen very often these days. What's nice is sometimes if I'm down at the allotment, for instance, we have our annual barbecue, and sometimes outside of the barbecue we'll just say, you know what, especially in the summer, we'll say, listen, let's all get some takeout drink because it's much cheaper. We'll just meet down the plot and we kind of turn the plot into a pub for the evening. It's lovely. So I don't normally drink wine, apart from the aforementioned champagne for the aforementioned occasions, and I wouldn't be today, except it's very silly, very naughty of him. I've been doing a bit of a favour for a friend down at the plot who has had some surgery. Oh, I brought an ant home. I don't want you go in the bag with the rubbish. I don't want that ant in my pants. I don't want the ant in my bed. I live in a studio flat, so here's my sofa, but just there's my bed. It's all one big room. I don't want the ants to find their way. Yeah, so I've often talked about the community at the gardens and how lovely and special that is. And we all just help each other out. We all help each other out whenever it's needed. And, people don't have to ask. We just step in and do it. So this friend of mine has had some surgery. Nothing major. And it all went exactly according to plan. And he's able to do a little bit in the garden. I mean, he's able to harvest and do a bit of snipping and clipping. But he's not allowed to do any bending and lifting. And he's got loads of grass paths. He's got a bigger plot than me. So he was getting a bit distressed about the state of his paths because the grass had gotten, 10 inches long. So I said, look, I'll come and trim it. The problem is, my strimmer, if you remember, I got the new strimmer, the Ryobi strimmer, which is great. I think I need another slug. Oh, this is very jolly. Why don't you all pour yourself something and sit and chat with me? Oh, this is naughty. Anyway, so I like the Strimmer. The Strimmer's great, but the battery is a really old battery. And I've been meaning to get a new one, and I'll sort that out at some point. So the battery runs out after it's like 10-15 minutes. It's ridiculous. And he's got about, oh my goodness, because it's got 2 plots. There must be, and I'm like if you imagine on my plot, I've got my 4 big beds. So I've only got around the outside, and there's only about 5 or 6 paths. But his beds were all sort of about maybe a metre wide. So he must have about 10 paths each, so about 20 little paths. And of course, because they got long and quite snarly snaggly, that was making my battery run out more quickly. So I've been having to sort of go and strim 2 or 3 paths, come back, recharge the battery, get back down there again, strim again. Anyway, at the end of last week, I got to the end of strimming all the paths, by which time the first path needs doing again. Actually, it's not too bad, and I think now that it's all much shorter, I can probably go back and whiz through the whole lot, or at least maybe one lot and then the other lot over a couple of days, and that should be enough to keep it under control. And well, I don't know, with this warmth going on and with due a load of rain, it might get growing again. But I think that should be enough to see him right for the next month or so, in which time he's recovering really well, and I'm sure his physiotherapist is going to say he can do things again. But the silly blimmin' bugger, oh, can't say that, can I? Well, yeah, never mind. Yeah, the silly bugger bought me a bottle of wine to say thank you. I told him off. I said, you don't need to give me a bottle of wine to say thank you. I would have done it anyway, because you're my mate. But then, as he pointed out, he watered my plot that week that I was up at my mum's, and it was really hot and dry down here, and I bought him a bottle of wine to say thank you. So we've now both agreed that from now on, we just let each other help each other, and there does not need to be any more exchange of wine. So it's a real treat for me to have wine. Like I said, I don't drink it very often. It's a real treat for me, full stop, at the moment, because I just do not, it's off the radar. I think in terms of drinking these days, it is lovely. About every 2 or 3 weeks or so, I treat myself to a cheapy 4-pack of beers from the supermarket. And that's it. It probably sounds a lot to some people, doesn't it? God, I sound like I'm an alcoholic. Honestly, I'm not. But it's not quite the same as sitting and having a load of pints every Friday with your mates. But yeah, it's a really lovely treat. So thank you. Thank you for this lovely, lovely glass of wine. So this is a really, really typical day for me, actually. And I know maybe one day I'll film myself from dawn till dusk. Not as in to do an 18-hour video. Who's going to watch an 18-hour video? I think that would be longer than all of the Lord of the Rings put together, would it? I don't know, Lord of the Rings seems like 18 hours. But yeah, it's a fairly typical day for me today, in that I got up at 6. So my general routine is I'll get up at 6. First thing I'll do is I spend about anywhere between sort of 2 and 3 hours on the computer. I'll answer comments that have come in on any of the videos, answer comments that have come in on my Facebook page, answer messages that I get through my Facebook page, answer emails I get. So do all of that that's associated with my sort of like public stuff, as in all this social media. Yeah, it takes quite a while. It's sort of like I say, between 2 and 3 hours in the morning, but that's fine because I'm not a morning person. So it's quite a nice gentle easing into the day for me. If I had to be actually out in the real world, seeing real people and dealing with them at 6 o'clock, it wouldn't work very well. I'm as likely to rip your head off that time of day as I am to give you a hug. Never have been a morning person, never will be. So yeah, so I do that for anywhere between 2 and 3 hours, and then, you know, check my personal emails. Sometimes I have a little bit of admin to do for my great aunt. So for instance, I do all her bills and her invoices. I do all the ordering for her supplies, for all the bits and pieces she needs. And then generally by about 8:30, 9, I'm done with all of that, and then I do the part of the day that I hate most, but I do it anyway. I do my physiotherapy for, depends what mood I'm in, but it's a minimum of about half an hour, sometimes 3/4 of an hour. And it's all based on resistance work. It's all based on sort of strengthening and keeping supple all the soft tissues. So obviously the focus is on my knees, but I do a bit of work on my arms as well. The idea being that the stronger I keep all the soft tissue, that I want it to be strong, healthy, supple. So I'm thinking about all my tendons, my ligaments, my muscles. That gives me a much more solid, if you like, it's almost like scaffolding around the knee joint. So the stronger and healthier that is, the better. So like I say, I don't really enjoy doing it, but I know it's good for me. And then one day, you know, in another 10 years or so, when the surgeons, whoever, decide that yes, it is time for a knee replacement, what I hope is at that stage that I've built up enough strength and kept things going well enough so that my recovery will be more speedy. Makes sense, doesn't it? So yeah, I don't enjoy doing it. I kind of loathe doing it. But then when I know that I'm getting to the end of my little routine, when I'm getting to the last couple of things I do, I think, yes, come on, done it, another sesh done. So I get all that done, finish that. If during my little admin bit in the morning, if I've seen some orders come in for the shop, or an order, I wish it was orders every day, but it's usually order, then I'll just spend, you know, I'll spend half an hour doing all the paperwork involved, get things parcelled up, do all the online bits I need to do. There's quite a lot goes on with it actually. There's more goes on with it than I was expecting. I've worked in a bricks and mortar shop before when I was selling the antiquarian books. So I've got a really good idea of retail, you know, I'm good with customer services, I'd like to think. But doing everything online, there's a lot of kind of box ticking to do in a way, because of course the delivery is a whole nother process. Whereas if I was just selling a face-to-face in a bricks and mortar shop, once that person decides, yes, I'd like this book, I take the money, boom, transaction's done. Anyway, so having done all my admin bits on the computer and my physio and made my parcels, whatever, by then it's usually around about 10 o'clock in the morning. So I'll pop down to the post office, and that's a great time because the 9 o'clock queues have disappeared. And my postal staff are so lovely. I love it when I go in there and it's a bit more quiet because I get a chance to chat with them. So what's hilarious is they've all become viewers of my YouTube channel. Hello postal workers, if you see this one. Oh my goodness. Yeah, it's really sweet. And you know, if I haven't been in there for like 3 or 4 days or so, they say, have you had no orders? How's the garden? Are you off to the garden? And really, really, really lovely chit chat. So they're fab. So I'll do the post office and then I'll go straight from the post office to the garden. And I would say this is kind of on a day-to-day basis if I'm not filming. I will go down to the garden, I'll do a bit of harvesting, maybe spend half an hour harvesting, not much more, maybe an hour. I might do a couple of really small jobs, like I might just sort of say, okay, oh, that's really hinky, bleh, yuck, that must have been sitting on the floor. Yeah, I might do something like, I'll say, oh, I'll do some weeding in the herb bed. So ostensibly, when I do my little quick daily visits, I harvest, I water. Sometimes might do another bit of a little job. And then if it's not a filming in the garden day, I'll come home with my harvests. I'll either deal with them straight away, which will normally take me a couple of hours to get things, especially if it's tomatoes. But generally speaking, I shove everything in the bottom of the fridge. I think, right, I need to do something else now. I'll get on the sewing machine, or I'll be cutting fabric. Like yesterday, oh my goodness, I spent 6 hours cutting fabric. I'm desperately trying to get some more of the lavender and love bunting made, because I'm selling that and giving a donation to Macmillan, which is the cancer care support charity, and I'm determined to get a load more money raised to them, and also because people have been asking me if I've got any more. So yeah, I'll do maybe 6 or 7 hours to do with sewing. So having got back from the allotment at sort of 12:30, 1, I'll do stuff with the sewing until about 8 in the evening, and then I'll cook something. You know, I'm really, really naughty. I won't bother eating during the day. I just get too wrapped up in things. It's how I've always been, you know, no matter what work or whatever I've been doing in life. I'm rubbish at having breakfast, which is why I try to have the smoothies, because I find I can actually force them down. But yeah, so about 8 o'clock I might cook, eat something, and then by about 9 o'clock I need to clean the kitchen, because if I've done all my processing earlier when I've got back from the allotment, the kitchen it's always a fright. I'm the world's worst, what do you call it, housekeeper. I don't even know what the word is. You know when you do your cleaning? I just don't do it. I haven't got time. I'd rather do other stuff. Anyway, so yeah, so between 9 and 10, I'm probably in the kitchen wiping tomato splats off the wall and goodness knows what else. And then usually 10 o'clock is the time when I kind of say, right, time to relax a bit. So I really love things like, I love a lot of the shows that are on the Dave channel over here. I love QI. I never tire. I'll watch reruns of QI over and over again. So I like a bit of comedy that's got a bit of intellect with it. So generally from 10 to 11, I'll watch a bit of comedy, but I'll also, I'll either have some sewing on my lap. So let me just show you actually, because it's not too far. Oh, my hands aren't too mucky. Hang on a tick, because it's in the window. This is the next lot of bunting I'm getting ready. So I've got my, let me just show you on here, the 2 layers of fabric. You see the right side is in there. That's the pattern, the colour side. So once they're sewn together like that, I don't know, they've got strings hanging, this all needs snipping off. The tip of the flag needs snipping, and then what I do is, as I'm watching or listening to a bit of comedy, they all get turned the right way out. I haven't got my crochet, but I use a crochet hook to poke it right down into there. Get them all snipped, turned, then I get the ironing board out and I'll press them. So if I've still got the energy at about 11 o'clock, it takes me, there's about 60 of these ready. So it takes me, I know I've timed everything, it takes me an hour to do all the snipping and the turning, and it takes me an hour to press them. So if it gets to 11 o'clock and I've still got a bit of energy, wine would help with the energy. then I'll stay up another hour and get them all pressed. Oh, that's another slightly hinky one. That's weird, I've not had hinky Coco de Paimpol before, but I think some of these have been right on the ground and have been burrowed into. Yeah, so, and if I haven't got the energy that evening, that just becomes a job for the next day. They don't end. It's like, I've finally realised that where I used to have my sort of to-do lists for the day, I still do, but they're sort of like, they're a rolling to-do list. It's a rolling thing. So if it's a Tuesday and I get to the end of my Tuesday and I haven't pressed the turned flags, as it were, that just becomes part of Wednesday. And I try these days not to be too worried about, I didn't get that done on Tuesday, oh, it's going into Wednesday. Just keep doing it. Just keep plugging on and ploughing on. And it's funny, it's there's definitely a rhythm to the days, but it's actually quite repetitive. I mean, it changes obviously according to the season in the garden. You know, in the spring and the very early summer, there is much more time spent in the garden than, say, sowing. And as we go into winter, and this is definitely something I need to get organised with this winter, that I should make more time for sowing because there's less time in the garden. The problem is, I like to sow with good daylight, and of course I need to garden with good daylight. So as we get down to our sort of available light being 8:30 a.m. till 3:30 p.m, I'm going to want to be in the garden and sowing. But anyway, yeah, I'll figure all that out. But yeah, it's I suppose it's that thing that I say quite often is, if you're thinking about giving up work and living off the land and living by your own means, by whatever work you find to do in terms of crafting or whatever it is, you just have to remember that it just doesn't end, it never stops. Literally the minute I get up in the morning till the minute I go to bed at night, it's work. But my goodness, it's joyous work. It's beautiful, wonderful, fabulous work. So I'm not complaining. I'm tired. There's no two ways about it. I'm really, really pooped. But that's okay. Winter's coming. The garden will chill. I'll get a bit of rest. The day I had with Richard and Paul at Kew was so beautiful and reminded me what it feels like to have a day where I leave everything else behind. I don't think I did any social media updates on that day at all. I mean, obviously I filmed that day, but when I got home from the day, just to say as well, we were there for 6 hours or so, and I shot footage over 50 minutes, so I didn't have my camera out the whole day. And actually after lunch, when we were walking mostly through the trees and by the lake, I think I took my camera out twice, and then for the rest of the afternoon I was like, you know what, no, I'm done filming. I loved filming, I loved being able to have those pictures for my own memories and to share with you, but for the rest of the afternoon it's like, nah, that's it, I'm done. And when I got home, which is a bit arduous because the tubes were playing absolute silly whatsits, should have taken me an hour and a half, should have been home at 6:30, didn't get home till 7:30. Normally, after I've done any kind of filming like that, I'd come home and I would immediately download the footage from my camera to the computer, then I would upload it into my editing program, upload, download, shoo load, then edit, then save, then upload to YouTube, and the whole process, that process takes about 4 hours or so. So anyway, that day I got back from Kew, I was like, nah, not doing it. This is a day off. Great. Actually, just saying that, when I was saying on these days when I go to the garden and I don't take you with me, if I'm just there for, you know, an hour to 2 hours, if I am filming, it does change the day quite a bit. So, for instance, I might be there for sort of, let's say 4 or 5 hours. Of course, you'll only see 30 minutes of footage. But on those days, let's say I get to the plot at 10 and I leave at sort of 2:33, then I come home and from between, say, 3 and 7, 8 that evening, that's all being downloaded, uploaded, edited, saved, uploaded, that goes on. Now, some of that needs my immediate attention, some of it I can walk away from. So what I'll generally do is, once it's in, say, saving mode, I'll walk away from it and I'll do some podding, or I'll bottle some tomatoes, or I will cut some fabric. I don't waste any minutes of any day. It's great. I love being productive. I love to be productive. I love to work. I love that at the end of the day, when I rest my weary little head on the pillow, and as I'm nodding off to sleep, I kind of think about what I've achieved that day. I think to myself, yeah, that's another 2 pounds of beans saved for the winter. Or, you know, if it's in the spring, I'll think, wow, that's a whole nother bed that I prepared and sewn and it's going to get ready for production. Or that's another 2 strings of bunting I've made. It's great. Well, I've nearly finished this little 2 kilo pile. What time is it? Oh my goodness, I've been chatting to you for ages. I know I've been, this video, oops, I'm waffling on, I know. This video is not going to be to a lot of people's taste. Let's wait for all those thumbs downers. Silly people. I always think with that whole thumbs down thing, if you turn a video on, I mean, these days, I hardly get 2 minutes to watch any YouTube. So I apologise to some of the other allotment YouTubers who I used to regularly watch and comment on. I've just perfectly shown you with my day. I don't get the time. But there are others, a lot of the sort of wilderness living videos. I don't even get time to watch those these days. But what I would say is, every now and again, someone will recommend I watch a video. Not necessarily not one of you necessarily, but one of my real life friends. And I'll watch for a couple of minutes and I'll just think, this isn't to my taste, it's just not me. I'll chat to my friend about it later. I might say, nah, I didn't really enjoy it, it wasn't for me, whatever. But with the actual channel and that creator themselves, I don't give them a thumbs down. I just don't watch. And even if it's someone who I've watched previously and I think, oh, this video's gone a bit, oh, I don't like it for whatever reason, ooh, that's really hinky. I don't bother with the thumbs down because I don't see how that adds to anything. And, you know, I thought on a couple of occasions I've seen something and I think I've got some constructive criticism to offer, but even then I don't, because I just think, oh, God, do you know what? Life is too short. Life's too short to be anything other than enjoying the things that you enjoy and letting go past you the things you don't. How have I got onto that? I don't know. Anyway, the point is, this little lot are podded. Oh, there's another ant. Oh, quick, let's get the ant. I'm so not having you in my bed, mister. Get it, honest. Get it, I can't do it. I can't. Get it. No. Right, let's just put the tray down. I'll show you. Oh, these are so beautiful. Beautiful. Look at those. the beautiful Coco de Paimpol. Now these will be frozen demi-sec, so they'll be frozen as they are, and you can hear there's moisture in them. They have an almost rubbery quality to them. So they will go in the freezer in a minute. I'll portion them up. If I was doing these beans for drying at home, I would get... Where's that ant gone? The ant's gone. The ant is no longer on the tray. No! Where is it? Oh no, the ant's escaped. Oh, flipping it. This is serious. Maybe it's in one of the pods. I've got a big bag down here with all the pods to go back to the compost heap. Why am I even trying to look for an ant on this rug? I don't know. It won't show. Anyway, what I was trying to say... what I'm trying to say is, if I was doing these for saving for dried, I'm not going to tip them out on this tray actually, because it's got a bit of soil and dust and stuff. All I would do is I'd tip them all out and take... Look, isn't that beautiful light that's coming in from my window? Because my window faces south. I get light all day, but it changes all day too. And at this time of the day, oh, it's gorgeous. Anyway, so yeah, all I would do is I'd just tip them out on this tray in a single layer, and then I'd take the whole tray and go and put it in that window and let them properly dry. If I was doing drying, actually I'm going to do a video about this in a couple of days, I wouldn't have harvested them at this stage, I'd leave them on the vines. Anyway, so good. Well, isn't that pleasant? That's a really, do you know, why didn't I think of that before? What a great way to do my podding. Instead of sitting here on my own, twiddling my thumbs and podding, how long's that taken? What's the clock say? That's half an hour. I'd better shut up. You all need to go and do something else other than listen to me whittling on. So half an hour of podding. Oh, and I should say, did I say? Do lolly. That's half wine and half water. I had it as a spritz. It wasn't all wine. But yeah, a half a glass of wine for half an hour of podding. And your lovely company while I did it. Yay! So, I'd better go and get these all in the freezer, and then I need to get back to the sewing machine. If I can sew a straight line, I'll be able to sew a straight line after one glass, that's okay. So thank you so much for joining me, and for any of you who stayed tuned right to the end, thank you so much. I hope maybe you did some podding at the same time. That's what I would love for to have happened, if that makes sense. Honestly, it sounds like I've been drinking since dawn, and I assure you, I have not. Anyway, there we go. So, a little bit more sewing on the sewing machine. Get these little flags turned this evening, either watching some comedy or listening to the radio. I don't know what's on the radio tonight, but I'll find something. Little glimpse into the ordinary day-to-day life of moi whilst I'm podding. Okay, my lovelies, I hope your harvests are being wonderful still. I hope you're having to spend a lot of your day each day podding and processing and all those other glorious things. And I hope for those of you down there, as it were, I hope spring is springing beautifully for you and the first of your seedlings are getting going already. I'll see you again soon. Back in the garden, I think, next time. So until then, please take care of yourselves and each other. Give each other hugs and love even before it's needed. Cheerio, everyone.